Let me show you 3 easy ways to make the most adorable pumpkin beads with a faux ceramic look, and I hope to surprise you with the third pumpkin bead technique. Hi, I'm Mihaela from Learn Polymer Clay, and let's dive in. I'm working with yellow polymer clay that I have previously conditioned, and I also used my craft knife to shave some chalk pastels, and I've prepared some yellow and orange chalk pastels. And then I just rolled the clay in between my palms, and I've made a round ball. And then you'll just have to use your fingers. You might want to consider using gloves for this project, and lightly press on the bottom and on the upper part of the bead. Then I used a toothpick, nothing fancy. I used the toothpick to poke a hole, and I kept the bead on the toothpick while using a needle tool to make deep indentations. But of course, you can use a toothpick. You don't have to be very fancy for this project. A needle tool would do the work as well. So after making the first series of deep indentations, I just put the bead on my working table. I've enlarged the hole, making sure that the hole looks nice as well. And then I used a toothpick to enlarge a little bit more the indentations and to shape the bead a little bit more. And you'll notice that I'm slightly pressing on the upper part and on the bottom to give this bead a beautiful pumping look. For the second idea, I did the same thing. I rolled a bead. I rolled a round bead, and then I used the toothpick, and I've made more indentations, but these indentations are not quite as deep as the previous ones. So for this bead, the idea is to make a lot more indentation than we did for the previous bead. They are not deep, not so deep as the first ones. And now this is the fun part. We are going to use an applicator and color the bottom of the pumpkin bead for the first bead. And of course, if you don't have such an applicator, you can use your fingers, but make sure to tap on the two colors in the same time. And so I'm applying a mixture of orange and in some areas light orange because it mixed with the yellow chalk pastels and yellow pastels because I want to have a beautiful organic look. I don't want the same color on the entire area. And so I'm just coloring the bottom and I'm going towards the middle of the bead, maybe a little bit lower than the middle of the bead. And this is the first bead and I think it's cute. What do you think? For the second bead with less profound indentations, I'm just going to use a brush and I'm going to mix a little bit the chalk pastels and I'm going to apply the color inside the indentations. And you'll notice that you don't have the same shade of orange on all the indentations because I'm mixing the colors. Sometimes the color is darker orange, sometimes it's a lighter shade of orange, but this is what gives this bead a beautiful organic look. And for this bead, I've used the brush to color the upper part and the bottom of the bead to give even more depth to the look of the bead. For the third idea, now that you have mastered the basics of sculpting a pumpkin bead, you are ready to go to the next level, meaning this time we are going to use white polymer clay. And I have prepared an amount of white polymer clay and I have kept a little bit for making round bead, pretty much the same size as the others. I have also prepared a little bit of white clay that I put through the pasta machine on the setting number 6. And then I've made sure that I can use this sheet of polymer clay, this thin sheet of polymer clay, to wrap it around the bead, that I have a length that would allow me to wrap the bead in this sheet of polymer clay. And then I'm going to use a very beautiful stencil, a floral stencil, and this is it. This is one of my favorite ones because it has a lot of open spaces. So you'll just have to press gently on the stencil, press it gently into the polymer clay, and then use your fingers or an applicator to apply the colors. And here is a pair of earrings with a faux ceramic effect that I've made using the same stencil. So again, I've scraped some yellow, light orange, and darker orange chalk pastels. Keep baby wipes near for this project. And I'm going to use the same applicator, and you'll notice that I'm tapping randomly in between the colors. And this is going to give an interesting effect when applying these colors on top of the polymer clay, because you have different shades of orange and of yellow on the piece. And I think this really gives the finished bead a faux ceramic look. So you don't want to have the same shade of orange over the piece. You want to play a little bit with these shades. And then you just have to gently remove the stencil, clean it with baby wipes, blow the excess pastels, and then very gently you'll have to use this sheet of clay to decorate the bead, wrap it around the bead. And you'll notice that I did not use my blade to trim off the ends of this piece of clay, and it has a biscuit margin, because I think that when you put everything together, when you gently press everything into the bead, you get a beautiful organic look. And we are making pumpkin inspired beads, so we are aiming for an organic look for the beads. So I gently wrapped the sheet of clay around the bead, then I used the blade to trim off the excess, and then I gently pressed the ends in the upper part and in the bottom into the bead. And you can use your tools to gently press these ends into the bead. And I personally like this organic effect of the bead. If you don't want such organic look, you could use your blade and trim off the sides, but I like this. And then you'll just have to use the same applicator or your fingers and color this the bottom and the top of the bead, and use a skewer or a toothpick to poke the hole. And when I'm poking holes, I'm gently rotating the toothpick inside the bead to make sure that I will be able to take this bead off, especially if I am going to bake it on top of the toothpick. And then I've used the sculpting tool, but you don't have to get so fancy. You can use a toothpick, and I've sculpted the indentations, and this is the part that you already master. And here is very cute pumpkin bead. I personally like the faux ceramic effect and the look of these beads, and they are great for making seasonal jewelry pieces. Then when you are happy with the look of the pieces, you'll just have to put them in the preheated oven and bake them for 45 minutes. Usually I make a lot of beads, so I batch my pieces, and I bake them in batches. You can just bake them on a tile wrapped in parchment paper. You don't really have to bake them on a toothpick if you don't want. And here's the lesson for today. And I encourage you to make your own adorable pumpkin beads. And if you like this lesson, here's what to watch next.